Part 3, Student Interview, Use of Graphs Produced with Thermal Copier.
This is another example of a graph, although this time it's done on the PF machine. Again, this is still a relatively easy graph to read. I can tell that going across the bottom it's the percentage of sugar concentration, and across the top it's the apple core change in mass. And as I can still tell the correlation that as the percent of sugar goes up in the water solution that the apple core was placed, the mass of the apple core goes down. I can still tell where it levels off, which at this point it looks to level off more around maybe, somewhere in between 1.5 and 2 after, and this happens just after the sugar concentration hits maybe about 1. After 1, I can tell that it just kind of levels off. There is a slight disadvantage here, however. In the other graph, we had 3 lines that showed up. One was a hot glue line, one was a puffy paint line, one was a pipe cleaner line, and one was the wiki stick line. None of these other lines over here showed up because they were not really relevant to the graph. On the PF machine they do, however, and sometimes they do make this line a little hard to read. For example, I might say that if following it along the bottom and then I come up to this line right here, I might pass it straight up because the line intersects exactly with the PF line. So sometimes it does get a little bit difficult to read because of those other lines there, but for the most part I'm still able, after taking a look at it for a second time, to identify that there are in fact 2 lines there. For example, at this point right here, which is about 0.6 on the graph, I can tell that the sugar concentration, that the change in mass is about 0.5. So I'm still able, and one advantage to this, however, is that because these other lines have printed out, you can say, okay, I know I was in between this and this line when I found I know I was right in between here when I found this point right here, and then I can just use these 2 lines as a guide and follow them over to the left side and make a more accurate reading. I know that this is right now between 0 and 0.5, for example. This point right here, which I found in between these 2 lines, is between 0 and 0.5. And I do that just by using these 2 lines as a guide for my finger.